Hey everybody, so recently me and some friends went on a trip to San Francisco to go book shopping, so I thought I would just film a vlog. The trip to San Francisco wasn't too bad, although because of the traffic it took us almost 3 hours to get there. Here's the toll bridge here. You can see how bad the traffic was, bumper to bumper. The parking garage we were in was huge, and there was no cars in there, so it was really echoey. Here's the street. And here's the store, City Lights. My friend Nakia found out about it on the internet, so we decided to go out and visit it for the weekend. It's had a really long history of political influence, and it also was a publisher. You can see that they've got a heavy emphasis on political nonfiction, literary fiction, poetry, that kind of stuff. This is the first book that caught my eye. I thought it was a history of the making of King Kong, which would have been pretty interesting, but I looked it up and it's some weird, experimental, nonfiction piece. Here you can see their Pocket Poets series. This is a collection of various poems that they've published throughout the years, and they really seem to specialize in beat poetry. You can see Howl and Kaddish by Allen Ginsberg there. And they had a bunch of other stuff, William Carlos Williams, there's an anthology, a lot of Allen Ginsberg, as you can see. Here's just a look at some random shelves. You can see they've got a lot of literary fiction: Toni Morrison, Ottessa Moshfegh, Taya Obrecht, Flannery O'Connor, Maggie O'Farrell, Helen Oyeyemi, lots and lots of stuff. It's a little hard to tell in these clips, but the bookstore was pretty packed with people, and the shelves were all very close together, so we were all kind of scrunched up like sardines, which made it pretty hot, which kind of sucked, but we made it work. I thought this was pretty cool. It's a section entirely devoted to 18th and 19th century English literature, so as you can see there's a lot of Penguin classics, a lot of modern library stuff. It was pretty fun to look through. They also had a section devoted solely to French literature, and look at this! They had multiple translations of Marcel Proust's Remembrance of Things Past, including the original 1800s translation, but what really caught my eye were these beautiful Penguin editions. They're all different translators, and they all have these gorgeous covers. I mean, look at that. I was really tempted to buy these, but all of them were like $15 each, plus I don't think they had all of them. There's 7, right? And they only had 6 in the store, so next time. Here's a book I've heard a lot about, Pachinko by Min-Jin Lee. As you can see, it was a National Book Award finalist, and it's supposed to be this big, sprawling, multi-generational Asian family saga. It's a chunkster too, over 500 pages. I didn't buy it, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. Of course, being in San Francisco, there would have to be a lot of gay fiction, and here's some Larry Kramer stuff. I read Faggots for my book club a few years ago, and to be honest, I didn't really like it. I also read The American People Volume 1, which I also didn't really get on with, although I thought it was a really interesting idea, basically a gay history of the USA. But what I didn't know was that there was a Volume 2 out. Now I'm wondering, should I read it, even though I didn't really like the first one? I mean, there were things about the first one that I really enjoyed, and the idea of a gay American history is obviously pretty appealing, so I don't know. I had to film this one just because I loved that title, but I looked into it and it actually sounds really interesting. I mean, I'm sold by the back already. He's a slut, a nerd, he's a working class hero, he's a waiter, bored at work. How could you not love it? So maybe I'll check this out soon. We'll see. This was another random find, an epic Italian chunker of a book that apparently was recently translated into English and got really good press. It's gigantic too, like 1,400 pages. Here's the staircase leading to the downstairs area. There was a 3rd floor, but it was mostly focused on poetry, so we didn't go up there. These stairs were really old and rickety. You could feel them vibrating as you went down, but look at all those books. Downstairs was mostly biographies, autobiographies, critical studies, that kind of thing, but here's something that looked really interesting. Fear by Dario Argento. I didn't even know he wrote an autobiography, and I kinda wish I bought it, but I didn't. This was also a pretty cool section, Topographies, meaning topography, biography. So a bunch of nonfiction books about the history and the critical studies of cities, which I thought was really interesting. And I saw this one, City of Quartz by Mike Davis, which I'd heard about when I was researching Los Angeles, and people say it's a really good book about the history and the planning of the city, so I hope to read that soon. In a little corner here was the mystery section, and I was really excited to find this huge collection of Jim Thompson paperbacks. I mean, look, you got Bad Boy, After Dark My Sweet, The Criminal, The Kill-Off. I own, like, a bunch of Jim Thompson already, so I didn't buy any, but I really should have. You're gonna hear me say that a lot in this vlog. I read The Hole by Hye Young Pyun earlier this year and I liked it, but I didn't know that he had any other books translated into English. Little Big Man. Seen the movie, but I haven't read the book. However, I have become more aware of Thomas Berger in recent years, so I really should check it out. They had a mythology section here, and I found this. This was really cool. The Werewolf in the Ancient World. It's like a critical study about, werewolves in the ancient world. I didn't buy it, but those of you who know me know that I love werewolves, so, again, maybe I should have. This was another really cool section, Asian Classics. Basically, classic Asian fiction and nonfiction translated into English, which was really, really cool. So they had Romance of the Three Kingdoms, The Tale of Genji, Journey to the West. There's actually a full volume of translated Journey to the West that you can see there. Here was something else interesting that I'd heard stuff about, How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. Apparently it's some nonfiction thing about the efficacy of psychedelic drugs. So, I don't know. While we enjoyed City Lights, it wasn't really what we were expecting, so we went to another bookstore, Books Inc., nearby. Look at all those books. Here's a few selections from the science fiction section. And here's all the stuff that was on sale. Again, it was mostly literary fiction, lots of, Haruki Murakami, that kind of thing. But here was something that looked really interesting, Malloy by Samuel Beckett. It was his first major novel, the first of the 3 masterpieces. Heard a lot about it, never read it. And this one, Naomi by Junichiro Tanizaki. It's a Japanese novel from 1959 about sort of an ambitious, rebellious young woman. So, sounds interesting. And then over here we have Milkman by Anna Burns, which I read. It won the Man Booker Prize 2018, I think it says there. I read that a couple years ago, and I actually really, really enjoyed it. It was very experimental and tough to get through, but very rewarding, I thought. John Waters? Oh, no, apparently not that John Waters. This is a Irish novel from 1991 that was republished recently, I guess. It was also on sale, and again, I'm wishing I kind of bought it, but I didn't. Oh well, there's always the library. Now here's something I'm really, really, really happy to shout out. This is The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart, published recently by Orbit. And I know the author. She's a friend of mine and she used to go to my writing group. So everybody, if you like fantasy, check it out. Here's a random selection of some YA books. I don't know about that. And here's yet another one I'm really, really upset I didn't buy. Look at this gorgeous copy of Moby Dick from Penguin. Oh, these awesome seafaring illustrations. I should have bought it! Another one that I picked up just because I really liked the cover art, Firekeeper's Daughter. It's an Ojibwe YA thriller. Doesn't really seem like my kind of thing, but I love that art. And here's another one that I picked up just because I liked the cover art, Pizza Girl by Jean Kyung Fraser. It's like some kind of something about a 18-year-old girl. Could be interesting. Don't know, just liked the art. So that was the end of our trip in San Francisco, but we still weren't satisfied because we were expecting more used books instead of the new books, which is what we found at those 2 stores. So the next day, Sunday, we decided to go to our usual haunt of half-price books. And that worked out because Aaron made me sell a bunch of books to half price a few weeks ago, so now I had to go buy more. Of course, he had to get a few jabs in first.
Girlies! I know it's hot out here, isn't it? Aww. I know it's hot. Enjoy your book haul.
I will.
Don't come back with too many.
I'll try.
Yeah. Out the way. Go on.
I'll come back with lots of books.
Yeah, don't come back with too many.
I'll do whatever I want.
Love you.
Love you.
Come back with noodles, that's one thing you gotta come back with. See you later. Love you.
And here we are at the usual haunt, Half Price Books. This place has been open for a few years now, and I've been coming here once a week. Compared to a lot of other used bookstores around here, they have a pretty expansive selection, and of course it's all used, so you can get a lot more. And just look at all those books. We met up in the clearance section. If half-price books wasn't good enough, how about almost no price? There's Nakia and Laura there. This one looked pretty interesting. The Dictionary of the Khazars by Milorad Pavic. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but it's basically a made-up dictionary. And here was another interesting find, Destroy All Monsters by Jeff Jackson. I'd never heard of it before, but it's essentially one novel, but it's split into two, kind of like a record. So there's side A and side B. There's side B there. And so you open it up, and you see it's a whole other story with upside-down text, or at least upside-down text from this side. And you flip it over, there's side A, and then there's more of the story. So that was pretty interesting, I thought. This was another interesting find that I'm sort of upset I didn't buy, Washington Black by Ezi Edugan. It's a picaresque novel about an escaped slave that was recommended on Waterstone's Shelfie series, and it sounded pretty good. As you can see there, it was a finalist for the Man Booker, and I'm down for that. I already own a paperback copy of this, but I just had to show this off. It's Poor Things by Alasdair Gray. This was recommended by Jen Campbell in a video of hers that I saw, and I really, really like this hardcover, but unfortunately, I already own it. Here's another book I found out about on the Shelfie series on YouTube, Boy Swallows Universe by Trent Dalton. Apparently it's an Australian novel about a boy helping his mother escape from prison. Again, probably should have bought it. All this stuff is available at the library. Of course I say that, but then I actually ended up buying this one, The Art of Fielding by Chad Harbach. I heard about this on Ink and Paper blogs. He said it was a good book with an LGBT theme, and it's about baseball, which I'm not used to, so I'll try it out. And of course you gotta shout out the boy Carl Hiaasen. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he's awesome. Read more of his stuff. I already own a bunch of it, so I didn't buy this one. But I probably should have. But here's one I actually did end up buying because it was like $2. GBH by Ted Lewis. As you can see, he's the author of Get Carter, and this is similarly a 70s British crime novel. And I love that sort of stuff, so yes, let's do it. Here's something that was hung up recently near the YA section. It's a big, blown-up cover of some old sci-fi novel. I just thought that was cool. I also found these 3 giant paperback omnibuses of a bunch of Dr. Dolittle novels. I didn't even know they had this many, but they're pretty cool. There's lots of illustrations and stuff like that, as you can see here. Maybe I should have bought these too. And this was a crazy coincidence. I was listening to the Decemberists on the way over to the bookstore, so of course I had to grab Wildwood. I've been thinking about it a lot anyway, ever since I first learned about it. Children's fantasy novel set in a mythical version of Portland? I'm down. And here's my bread and butter, the sci-fi and fantasy section. This is usually pretty well stocked, so much so that I could have shown you the entire shelf if I wanted to. 2 books that really caught my interest were these, The Book of Jerrig and The Book of Taltos by Stephen Brust. These are the first 5 novels in his Jerrig series. The Adventures of Vlad Taltos, stuff like that. I've heard a lot about him. People say he's a really excellent prose stylist, and he writes lots of books based off of old adventure novels like The Count of Monte Cristo, so yeah, let's do it. Of course, by this time, things were getting a little heavy, so I had to get a basket. Oh no. I'm gonna throw it. Oh god, no. Here's something that could be a little more promising. I've heard a lot about this series, but I haven't read it. The Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne. We'll see. I wasn't gonna buy this originally, I was just gonna show it because I thought it was interesting, but I looked at the cover and I read the back and it just sounded really cool, so I had to have it. I mean, come on, a Caribbean colonized planet during Carnival? I just thought this was really gorgeous cover art. God's Grave by Jay Kristoff. It sounded really interesting, but I mostly really just liked this cover. Isn't he coming out with a new book soon? Empire of the Vampire? Yeah, something like that. Here's Beggars in Spain by Nancy Kress. I've heard a lot about this from Moid Moidelhoff on Media Death Cult. Sounds really cool. And I'd never heard of this one, but I immediately had to have it once I read the back. It's about a kid who commits suicide and wakes up in a weird world in the body of a golem. Come on. Here's another one I ended up buying, A Hero is Born by Jin Yong. This is the first part of a really, really famous Chinese fantasy series that was published in the 50s, and it was just recently translated into English, and this is the first time I've seen it for under $15, so of course I had to grab it. I also decided to grab They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera because me and my friends have been talking about setting up our own book club, and we decided that this will be our first read, so expect a review of this soon. Or in a month, or whenever I finish it, we'll see. Here's the horror section. Unfortunately, it's pretty paltry. You know, typical things like Stephen King and Dean Koontz, but there are a few interesting things here. Like this edition of Burnt Offerings by Robert Marasco. I haven't read the book or seen the movie, but this is supposed to be a classic, and this is the edition that was published by Valancourt Books, who are really awesome. You should check them out. They publish lots of old, forgotten horror literature. And here's another big book that just came out that I wasn't expecting to see, The Living Dead by George Romero and Daniel Kraus. I didn't even know he wrote novels, but I found out about this when it came out, and this is the only edition I've been able to find recently for under 15 bucks.
I want to catch that guilty look on your face when I see all the books.
Well,
So where are they? Let me guess, back here?
no. Here, get the food.
Oh. Okay. You've got to show the other side of the whole book collector thing.
Shut up.
Okay, to be fair, that's not as bad as I thought it was. I was thinking like last trip you did.
No. This is about $100 worth of books.
I hope it was your $100.
Of course it was. I'd say it was a day well spent. Here's everything I got from half price. Living Dead, all the Stephen Bruce stuff, GBH, Nalo Hopkinson, the Greg Keyes book, Wildwood, A Hero Born, The Art of Fielding, and they both die at the end. I'm really looking forward to getting into all these. Probably not going to post reviews of all of them, just the ones that really stick out to me. But expect to hear about them in my wrap-up. Whenever I get to them, that is. I take a while to read things, okay? I always start out with specific plans of what I'm gonna read, and I end up reading something completely different. And these are the 3 books that I got in San Francisco. Yes, I only bought 3. The first is Memoirs of Hadrian by Marguerite Yourcenar. I read a little bit of this when it was at the library, but I never finished it. But I really wanted to read it again, and it wasn't available at the library anymore, so why not? I also found this at Books Inc., Cities of Salt by Abdelrahman Munif. Again, sorry about all the pronunciation. But I'd never heard of this. It sounded really interesting, though. I looked it up. It was published in the 80s. It was a big, like, Arabic modern classic, and it's about the oil industry and stuff like that, so it sounds pretty interesting. And finally, the last book I got in San Francisco, The One by John Mars. I'd heard about this and I've been meaning to read it for a long time. It's a British thriller, I believe, about sort of a science fiction concept where they find a way to find your genetic partner, your soulmate, and about the repercussions that comes with that. Sounds pretty interesting, and I believe there is a gay character in it, or there's gay themes, so of course, I'm all about that. And that's what I got. I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog, and I'll see you next time.
Mm-hmm.